Now, some of you guys know, but not everyone does, but I have 3 kids at our house, and see, here's how we kind of break things down. We have 3 kids, 2 rules, and 1 question. Okay, this is kind of what we do at our house. Some of you know that if you've hung around me long enough, and just to give you an idea. Now, I know parenting is super complicated, and so because it is, I need to kind of think things and kind of put things simpler so I can kind of focus. And so for us, we have 3 kids, we have 2 rules, 1 question. For our 3 boys, let me tell you what our 2 rules are. You've heard me say this, if you've been here before, I'll say it again. Our 2 rules are this: honor your mother, love your brothers. Okay, we got 3 boys. So that's our only 2 rules is this: honor your mother and love your brothers. Anything else that we tell our kids to do above that is connected to one of those 2. So obviously, hey, why shouldn't you hit your brother? Okay, so you're not loving. Why should you not lie? Why this, why that? But see, right there, I just revealed the last thing. When it comes to anything that they do, we want to make sure they understand every little thing that we ask them to do is connected to honoring their mother, loving their brother. I'm okay that I'm not included in the rules, okay? Because I want them to, number one, as boys, I want them to know how to, be able to treat women and honor women. To me, that's a huge blessing. If they can do that, that's honoring me, right? If they're loving each other, that's honoring me as well. So I'm included in that, just so you know. But that wasn't like my wife's, like, you know what we need? We need a rule about me. And I was like, no. It's not just that. She didn't leave me out of it. It was her idea. It was actually my idea. I'm just going to use both. But the thing is that we have this. We have honor your mother, love your brother. And if they have, I said we have 1 question. If they do anything that fundamentally breaks any of those 2 rules, we have 1 question, and it's a 1-word question. And the question is, why? Why? Some of you guys know, we always do it. When they do something, we always start off with, why? Okay? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why? Now, the reason why we say why is because for us, and I think you would agree this is true, what you do, how you do it, doesn't matter if there's not a why connected to it. I mean, you care about the why. You care about the why. So when they hit each other, we always come up with why did you do that? Okay, try to get to the root of it, because when you ask why, you go down to the core. Why did you hit him? Oh, well, he said this, he made fun of me, whatever. And so I was like, why shouldn't you hit your brother? And so we kind of use it as a teaching tool. Hey, they lied to their mother. They didn't do their bed, and they said they did. Why did you lie? I was like, I don't know. That was for all boys. I was like, that's really the answer. Every time we ask why, it's always, okay. And so if you got boys, you know what I'm talking about. And so why did you lie and say you clean your room? I was like, well, do you know why it matters? Why you shouldn't lie? Because if you lie to your mother, do you love your mother, by the way? Well, yes. Does your mother love you? Yes. And so when you tell the truth, you're loving your mom. When you tell the truth, when you don't tell the truth, and so see kind of the idea. And so for us, we want to make sure that we're helping these kids to process. We don't want them just to do things a certain way without an understanding of why. In fact, how many of you have ever asked either a teacher, your boss, right, a parent, why? Why do I have to do this? Okay, why do I have to make my bed? Why do I have to study this subject? Why do I have to do this job this way? Why? We've all asked that question, and who here has ever asked that question and somebody snapped at you and was upset at asking you the fact that you asked why? Anybody who's done that? Right? How many people, how many teachers? Everyone was like, because, right? That's really the big answer. I was like, why? Because I said so, that's why. That's all you need to know, right? Because why? And so a lot of people don't like to explain. For it's simple and it's so much easier just to tell somebody what to do and how to do it. It's harder to say why, right? It's easier to say what to do and how. But again, why matters. That's why we ask. And listen, you are not leading, parenting, or teaching effectively if all you do is communicate what needs to be done and how, and never touching on the why. You are not leading, teaching, or doing anything effective if you don't have a solid why. In fact, some of you guys might have seen this popular speech. It's on YouTube. It's one of the big popular TED Talk by Simon Sinek. And he talks about the power of why. It's a viral video that's going on. And he admits and say, look, what I'm talking about here is nothing like genius. It's super simple, yet it's so profound. He says here, we all know what we do. In fact, have you ever introduced yourself to somebody new, and then in the conversation, the question comes up, so, what do you do, right? And so what do you do? You and I, we all know what we do. We're students, we're teachers, we're athletes, we're musicians, we're this, we're that, whatever, I don't know, gamers, whatnot. We all know what we do. So Simon Sinek says, look, we all know what we do. Less of us know how to do it. Okay, let's be honest. Right? Some of us, what are we? We're parents. And how do you do it? I get by. I was like, I do my best. So, right, there's a lot of us that we don't necessarily know how we do what we do. We just do our best at it. And so Simon says, Simon Sinek says, we all know what we do. Less of us know how we do it. But here's the thing. Very few people know why they do what they do. And when people don't know why they do what they do, they get frustrated, right? You get frustrated if you don't know, why should I do this, right? Some of us, and we've been there, I've been there, we've had jobs, and why are you here? I don't have a solid why, and it just, right, doesn't matter. And so it's frustrating. Some of us have lost our why in our relationships, and we don't even know why we're together anymore, right? Why? Without a why, you have nothing. Without a why, there is no meaning. There is no meaning. In fact, I really believe this is why New Year's resolutions always fail. So many people, their New Year's resolutions fail. Not because the what isn't important, because what is the what for somebody? Oh, well, I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to get on budget with my money. That's what. Okay, how am I going to do that? Well, I'll set a budget. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'm going to eat more salad, kale, right? Whatever, that kind of nonsense, right? All that. I'll do that more. But then, here's the thing, they focus on the what, they focus on the how, but then if you don't focus on the why should you be on budget? Why should you be healthy? At some point, that's why so many resolutions fail, because here they are, and you're staring at a plain old piece of stale kale, and you're looking at it, and then you ask yourself this question, why am I eating this? And you start remembering how good bread tastes like. Right? And sugar and carbs, right? And stuff like that. And so if you don't have a solid why, you ask yourself, why am I suffering? You know what? I'll start next Monday, right? It's always next Monday. I'll start next Monday. But without a why, why keep on going? Why stick it through? In fact, there's a big, one of the leading causes of, a growing, very shocking leading cause of a lot of young adults, teenagers, is suicide. And the reason why? Because they've lost their why. Why should I live any longer? They don't have an answer for that. And so they take their life. Because why live another second? For them, it's better to end it than to continue. See why the why matters so much. And so I ask you this question, why did you get out of bed today? Why did you get out of bed and roll out and not just sleep at night? For those of you that are here. Why are you here? And not, yes, why are you here in this church right now in this moment, but why are you here, period? Do you have a why? Why do you exist? Those are all questions that we all should wrestle with. And we all should look for. Because again, without a why, there's no purpose. Behind what we do or how we do it, without a why, we are left with no way. And one of the things that we're going to focus on over the next couple weeks, because yes, it matters. Why and your personal why matters. And see, here's why the church matters. And this is something that we're going to look at over the next few weeks as we talk about the DNA of the local church. What does it make up? And I ask you a question, even why does church exist? Why does it exist? Why not, when you get saved, why doesn't God just beam you up right there at that moment? Right? Why can't just, that would be for some of us, I'm like, sign me up. That would be nice. Right? And so when you get saved, why not just, and then you're done? Why are we still here? And why do we have to do this thing called church? See, there's a growing number, guys, of people that no longer have left the church and no longer are coming back. They have their reasons why. For some of you, this is probably your first time back in a long time, and you have your reasons why. I believe you have your reasons. But see, what matters more is not so much why are people coming. What matters more is for us as believers, why are we here? Because if we don't know why we're here, if we don't know why we do what we do, then they'll never understand why it matters. And they will never find their true why. And so that's why we're going to focus on this today. And for us, the biggest, this is why we exist, guys, is for others also to know why. And our big why is connected to the Great Commission that Jesus gave. And so we're going to look at that today in the scriptures. Because without a why, again, like I said, there's no purpose behind what we do. And our why gives us meaning. And it's our mission. And it's linked to the Great Commission. So we're going to look at Matthew chapter 28. Now Matthew was one of Jesus' 12 apostles, his original 12. Matthew was present at this moment that we're about to read. And so the apostle Matthew lived and he worked. God recruited, Jesus recruited him for the, right at the beginning of this mission. For 3 years, he got to see a front row seat of who Jesus was. And he lived with Jesus and they interacted and he saw the miracles firsthand. Matthew also saw Jesus arrested. Matthew was one of the group that ran and left Jesus to die. Left Jesus alone. But then Matthew was one of the ones that Jesus, after dying and resurrecting 3 days later, Matthew is one of those who encounters that same Jesus. See guys, one thing that we know about Matthew is that he was a tax collector. He was a Jew and a tax collector. He was the scum of his society, just so you know. And so not because he worked for the government, all right? That wasn't it. It's because he was a Jew working for Rome. And the tax collectors abused their power and authority. If you were a tax collector, and if you were a Jew and a tax collector, I mean, they were the most corrupt individuals that were there. And you got into being a tax collector not because it was a lifelong dream of yours. You got in there because it was an easy way to make money. It was an easy way to corrupt, and it was an easy way to pad your wallets without having to do very little of anything. And so Jews who were tax collectors were the outcasts of society. They were like, you know what? Because you have betrayed your people. Jesus happens to be a Jew, goes to Matthew and says, hey Matthew, I know who you are. In fact, Matthew was collecting taxes at the moment Jesus called him. He says, you know what, Matthew? I know most people have rejected you. I do not. You want to follow me? And Matthew saw something so intriguing. And probably his family had abandoned him. Society had abandoned him. And here is this man saying, I'm inviting you in. Do you want to come and see? And Matthew did. And Matthew stuck it out all the way through. And here he is at this moment. And Jesus is resurrected from the grave and he is alive. And here he gives what we call, what the scriptures and Christians call the Great Commission, the mission of the church. And here we'll read it in verse 16. Now the 11 who went to Galilee, they went there to the mountain which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, Jesus, they worshipped him. But some doubted. I love that Matthew, I don't know if Matthew was one of those 12, I don't know. But in fact, if you put that in there, it was pretty interesting. We're going to get back to that. They worshipped Jesus on that mountain, but some doubted. And Jesus came and said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. So, he says this word, go, therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always, even until the end of the age. And so guys, that right there is the Great Commission. As Jesus ascends to heaven, he tells the remaining 11, all right guys, now it's time to get started. Go out in this entire world and go show them what you've seen. Go tell them what you have been a witness to. He commanded them to go and to continue on what he had started in those 11. And by the way, this is called the Great Commission, not the Great Option or Suggestion, okay? God didn't leave it up. Jesus did not leave it up for this to be an option, just in case you have nothing to do on the weekends, or it's just a suggestion, like you don't know what to do with your life? Maybe consider this. No, this is called the Great Commission. It is the big why behind why Christians are still here. In fact, all that activity that you see there implies a why. The fact he tells them to go and to make disciples and to teach them and baptize them, there is a why that's implied. You know what the why is? Hey guys, there's 11 of you here. There's a whole bunch more who don't know what you know. There's a whole bunch more who don't have what you have. There's a whole bunch more who haven't experienced what you've experienced. So by him telling them to go implies the why. There's other people out there that need it too. Because if not, if it was just for those 11, why would they need to go? But the why behind the Great Commission is there are people out there who don't know and need to know, who don't have and need to have, who haven't experienced and need to experience. There are lost souls out there, and he is calling them to go. Because this is good news. I love this quote that I read. I don't have his, I think I had his, Carl Henry. His name is Carl F.H. I don't know why people like to abbreviate their middle names like that, whatever. Carl F.H. Henry. He says this, the good news, I'm going to read it. The gospel is only good news if it gets there on time. I like that. The gospel is only good news if it gets there on time. And so he's telling those 11, hey guys, time's ticking. There's people that need it, so go. And then why? Because again, guys, that is why we exist. Why does this church, why does this mission matter? Why does this mission and why should it matter to us if you're a believer in Jesus Christ? Because the lost souls that we're called to impact matter to God. And they should matter to us. But look at that word go. I want you to check this out. I want to break this down. He tells his disciples to do what? Go. Say it with me. Say go. Go. Now listen, who is he telling to go? Just those 11? No. Okay? He is telling every believer in Jesus Christ. This belongs to us. If you have placed your faith in Jesus and he has forgiven you of your sins, he has now, this command goes to you. And you are called to go. So who goes? Everyone. Every believer is called to go. When are we supposed to go? Okay? When? Super simple. Now. Now. We go now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go and get a certain level of education and get a certain degree and certificate. No. You can go now. And you know how I know that? Look who was present out of the 11. Out of the 11 there, what did Matthew being one of those 11, he documented this. Here we are. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not there. I have it here. He told them, they gathered together on the mountain and they worshipped. No, they worshipped him, but then I said something else. Some doubted. Did you hear me a minute ago when I read it? Yeah. They worshipped, some of the 11 worshipped, but some doubted. Now guys, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. If you saw your best friend murdered, buried, and 3 days later, a weekend later, you guys are eating breakfast at Cracker Barrel. Okay? Process that. Just process that. Your best friend, you see your best friend murdered in front of you. And he is buried 6 feet under. Okay? And then not a weekend goes by, and you're at a Cracker Barrel eating them delicious biscuits with apple butter, right? All that stuff, right? Delicious. You're eating breakfast with the person. Would you not redefine and process life for a minute? Would you be at that moment just taking a second and be like, yo, is this happening? Would anybody ever be like that? If you saw something so radical, would you ever be like, is this for real? Or am I dreaming? Or what is this? So I give them the benefit of the doubt for those who doubted, because they were probably processing this like, wait, I see Jesus, but I saw him over here. I'm like, is this real? Like, is this true? Like, oh my gosh. And so I love the fact that this, who did Jesus call to go? The handful that worshiped and not the ones who doubted? No, he told them all to go. And so here's the beautiful thing. If those of you who don't know as much as something else, just because you don't know doesn't mean you can't go. Just because you don't know certain things doesn't mean you can't go. In fact, as you go, you grow. And that's a part of it. And so you don't need to wait for any moment. No, the Great Commission, this journey, this adventure, God says, no, you can go now. You can go now and be a part of this. When? I'm sorry, not when. I said that already. Where? Where should we go? Simple. Anywhere and everywhere. In fact, that word that Jesus says, to go, in Matthew, the word go in all the world. Do you know what that word translates? It can translate to this. It's really the word going. Going. So it's this progressive thing, meaning as you go throughout your day, as you go throughout life, as you go throughout your periods of your school, as you go through your time clock while you're at work, as you go through Walmart, purchasing whatever you need to purchase, right? Who doesn't love Walmart? As you go throughout your day, running errands, doing your work, cleaning the dishes, talking, whatever, as you drive, as you go, do the following. So sometimes we think that, all right, well, the Great Commission is a start-stop. Like, okay, I need to go to church, or I need to go to another country. Yes, all of those are true. But this is a non-stop, 24/7 lifestyle. It is as you go throughout the day. In fact, I can rephrase the Great Commission in this way. Jesus is commanding his followers to do this. As you go throughout life, help others to believe, which is to make disciples. Help others to belong, which is to baptize them. And help others to live, which is to teach them how to obey. That is what Jesus is calling all believers to do. As you go throughout your day, whoever is involved in your day, whoever your neighbor is, whoever is near you, as you go throughout your day, help people to either believe or to grow in their belief, help them to belong, to love them, help them to live. That is how we do it, where we do it. And so that last question, well, how do you do all of that? Super simple, in love. How do you live out the Great Commission? Listen, guys, if you are not teaching and baptizing and doing all that stuff, whatever Jesus would put on that, if you are not doing it in love, you ain't doing it right. Okay? If you're not doing it in love, you're not doing it right. And so sometimes we get caught up with, well, how does that work out? I'm at Publix, okay? How does the Great Commission look like in Publix? How does it look like at my job? How does it Grace gave an example today at her job. How does that look like in school? Well, let me give it super easy for you guys. It's called love. If you don't know, when in doubt, max out love. Okay? That's right there. When in doubt, max out love. That is how we live out the Great Commission. And I have this last question with this one. With whom are you supposed to go? With whom are you supposed to go? It implies there two. With each other and with Jesus. Notice he says, not only did he tell his disciples, go into all the world, but what did he also say? By the way, I'm going with you. Right? If you put it up, I want you guys to check that out. Look at Jesus' last phrase in Matthew 28. Look at the last sentence that he says. I am with you always to the end of the age. To the end of the age meaning, look, I got a plan. Until my plan is complete, understand, I'm going with you. Amen. So I'm not just telling you to go do something, be my minions. No, in fact, I really think that this is what he's asking. Check this out. I don't think Jesus is saying, go and, I'm going to go follow you, make sure you're doing it right. I'm going to micromanage you. That's not what Jesus is saying when he says, go, and by the way, I'm going too. I really believe this is what Jesus is saying when at the first go and the last go. Check this out. Watch me. I think this is what Jesus is saying. Hey guys, let's go. I'm going with you. Let's go save the world. Let's go reach souls. Let's go show them what you. Let's go because I'm going with you. And you know what? Technically, that is not a promise. Jesus saying I'm going to be with you is not a promise. He's not saying if you go, then I'll go. That's a promise. If you go, then no. He says regardless if you go or not, he is stating a fact. It's not a promise, it's a fact. I'm with you. So that should encourage us because guess what? We don't have to live this mission alone. If you don't have an answer, you have the God who made all things. If you don't have strength, you have the God who is with you, who's all powerful. If you are like anything, you have this God who is with you to comfort you so you can comfort others, to encourage you to encourage others, to love you so you can love others. You have this God who is with you. So for some of you, that ought to motivate you. For others, might kind of put some of the hairs in the back of your head going like, oh no, because with me, regardless of if I go or not, regardless of how I'm going and going about my day, he is also there. So that should force us to evaluate as believers, how am I going throughout my day? Because God is with me. God is with me. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And so here, which is the bottom line, which is the sentence you saw a minute ago, here's the bottom line for today. As you go through life, show others the love of Christ. Guys, that is our why. Why does the church exist? Right there. To show others the love of Christ. Why do we still hang around? Why don't we just get beamed up right at the moment? Why? Okay, why? Because there are other people who need to know and experience and see the love of God. So as you go throughout life, show others the love of Christ. That is our mission. That is our responsibility. And again, if you don't know how that looks like at school or at home or at your job, again, when in doubt, max out love. As you go throughout your day, show others the love of Christ. As you go throughout life, show others the love of Christ. That is how, when, all of that wrapped up, in one. This is the greatest adventure that God can invite anyone to be a part of. And you know what? All of your careers, the variety of your careers, and this, by the way, this doesn't look like pastor, missionary, nothing else, right? I mean, sometimes people think that's what it is, but it is bigger than that. There is not, okay, I was like, sometimes I get in trouble with this. There's not one career that God can't use. Technically there are, drug dealer, again, I don't know, there's some jobs that, okay, maybe not that job, but most career paths, God can use you to be creative, to go out there, and to make a difference. In fact, let me read this one last verse to you here. This comes from Paul, as he's writing the church in Ephesians. Now, if you've ever read the New Testament, which is the back half of our Christian Bible, which is the Christian portion of our Bible, there's the Jewish aspect, and then there's the one after. Paul writes a lot of letters to different churches. Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians. Those are all churches that he is writing letters to. And the reason why he's writing these letters to these churches is because a lot of these churches have they've lost their why. They've either missed what they do has been corrupted, how they do it has been, gone a little off. So he writes these letters to not just address, hey guys, let me talk about what you're doing, let me talk about how you're doing it, but he always comes down to the why behind it. Do you guys know, before Paul was encouraging Christians in this way, he was persecuting Christians. In fact, Paul had a good reason why he was trying to shut down the church. Paul, for one moment, his mission in life, he existed to do one thing, to shut down this Christian movement, to shut down and silence, and he had even been a passive witness to the murder of some of these Christians. And why did Paul do that? Paul had a reason why. Because he believed that it was corrupt. Because he believed that the message corrupted what he believed to be true with Judaism and what God was calling and what he had. His understanding. He thought it was a threat. He thought it was wrong. He thought it wasn't helpful. So he had a reason why he was trying to persecute the church. But what I love this is that he has this moment when Jesus interrupts him. And Jesus interrupts him with the same question that I interrupt my own kids with. God shows up, Jesus shows up to Paul and says, Paul, why are you persecuting me? Paul, why are you doing what you're doing? The first word out of Jesus' mouth to Paul is not correcting him for what he's doing. He's not rebuking what he's doing so much as how, but he goes down to the core. Paul, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? I'm God. He thought he was serving God. He thought he was helping God. And here God presents himself as, Paul, why are you hurting me? And Paul, for that day, instead of being condemned, instead of being smitten, by the Lord that moment, he was rescued, saved, forgiven. And Paul then had a new why. The reason why he existed was not to shut down the church, was to start churches. Now, instead of trying to silence the message, it was to proclaim the message. And so his why changed because Jesus showed up. And so here, he wants to remind this church at Ephesus of really important why. And so let's look at, here he goes in chapter 4, verse 12. And he says here, the church exists. He wants to look and speak the truth in love, he says. For we are to grow up in every way into him, who is the head, into Christ, for whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. So here, Paul is trying to remind this church who's lost their why, which is corrupted the how and what they do. He's coming down to the root of it. He's like saying, guys, listen, what is our purpose? The church is the goal. Guys, I want you to know this is not just Ephesus church, this is ours. The goal of every individual Christian and the goal of every individual church is to grow. The goal is to grow. Number one, he says it here, to grow up in Christ. We are to grow in nature, meaning looking like Jesus, acting, thinking like Jesus, more and more each and every day. It's a process. Some of us are better at it than others, but the point is, that's not the goal. That's not the selling point. The point is, we are to grow in nature. And as we grow in nature, here's the beautiful part, we also grow in number. As we grow in nature to be more like Christ, God uses us and we grow in number. Others who were lost now are found. Others who were sinners now are saints, transformed by the power of the Holy Spirit. So our goal as a church is to grow. Our churches will grow individually, and then collectively, as we are growing individually, collectively we will also grow. In the nature, are we looking like and loving like Jesus? And the more we look like Jesus and love like Jesus, the more that is our nature, our numbers will also grow. Because others will see what we have and want it. And I love it, it's just that he used the word maturity, right? Kind of like our bodies, who we are as individuals. Some of us mature faster than others, and it's okay. Some of us are still growing. Some of us, you probably stopped growing a long time ago, and I think you're shrinking now, right? And so kind of that happens, right? And so that happens. Some of us, okay, but in reality it's a little different. See, in the same way we grow physically, we also grow spiritually. And that is the point. And I love this word here that he uses. Look, the word equipped. Notice, what is holding us together? Jesus holds us together. And when he says the word equipped here, by every joint with which he is equipped, here's what he's trying to tell the church. Listen, how do we grow? How do we grow in nature and in number? It's easy. He's trying to get them to the why and to the root of it all. Listen, Jesus holds us together, and as Jesus holds us together, we are to help each other. That's equipped. As Jesus holds us together, we are to help each other. As we go through life, we are to show others the love of Christ. That is our why. That is all that we are called to do. And this is why, guys, I wanted to bring this up in particular with today, because sometimes when we think of the mission of the church, unfortunately, a lot of people simplify that to pastor. Like, all right, pastor, you're the professional, bro, right? That's why we pay your salary, right? And so you can do what only you can do. It's like, it's true, okay? There's only things that I can do that some of you guys can't do, but you know what? There's things that you can do that I can't. In fact, I want you guys to know this is what I believe. This is why I do what I do. Why I'm here. Because I believe that God can change the world, and he wants to do it through you. I believe that God wants to change your world, somebody's world, and I believe that you can do it. That's why I want to do my best to equip you. I'm here to help you win, not so that you can help me win. That's what I believe. I believe that the Great Commission, guys, is not only lived out in this 1.5 hours that we have once a week. In fact, there are 168 hours in an entire week. And so many, the Great Commission is not lived out in the 1 hour of our services. We live it out the other 167 as we go throughout our day. In fact, we live the Great Commission more outside of our church buildings than we do inside of our church buildings. You need to understand that. And I believe that life gets better the better that we know God and follow him, even when life circumstances don't get better. I believe that. I believe that life gets better the better you know Jesus and follow him, even if your circumstances always don't turn out better. I believe that life gets better, and Jesus makes it better. And that is why, guys, I do what I do. So many people think that, pastor, you're the MVP of the squad. You're the MVP. That's why you do what you do, right? You the MVP. Listen, I'm not the MVP, and you guys are my cheerleaders, okay? That's not how this works. That's not how this works. And I know right now it almost looks like it. I'm on stage. I'm doing what I'm doing. You guys are there. Give me the amens behind, great job. All right, that's awesome. I thank you. But listen, I'm not the MVP, and you guys are my cheerleaders. Now, man, flip, okay? I am your cheerleader. I am your cheerleader. I'm here to tell you, guys, go. Go. I'm here to tell you when you stop and when you fall, get back up and keep going. Keep following Jesus. Keep pursuing. Keep loving. I know you got your issues. I know you got that, but don't stop. Keep going. I am your cheerleader, guys. That's me. That is my job, to equip you, to help you to grow, to believe, to help you to belong, and to help you to live. I exist, guys, to help you win. That's my job. That's the way I look at it. And then we are then called to take the same thing and go out there and help others win, to help others to believe, to help others find, guys, what we have. Amen. Now, as you go throughout your day, listen, as you go throughout your day, you need to know why. I want to make sure you know why. I'm about to release y'all, encourage y'all, guys, go and love people. And we're going to do a quick little call in a minute for those of you, but listen. As you go throughout your day, make sure you know why. Tell me, which one tells a better compelling story? Christian number one. Somebody asks, oh, you're a Christian? It's like, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, tell me about yourself. Tell me, well, what does that mean? Tell me what's a more compelling answer. Well, I do my best. That's what? I do my best. What I do my best. I pray, I give, I go to church, I read the Bible, I volunteer, I try to do good while avoiding sin. That's how I do my best. And, well, why do you do all of that? Oh, well, the Bible tells me so. Do you want to follow me? You want to learn more? No. That doesn't sound compelling at all. Versus, what about this one? Oh, you're a Christian. Yeah. Well, so tell me about that. Well, what does that mean? Well, see, I am grateful, joyful, and hopeful because I believe that God loves me, has forgiven me, and has made me a part of his family. That's my why. That's my why. And because of that, well, I pray, I give, I go to church, I read the Bible, I volunteer, and do my best while I try to avoid sin. It's kind of how I live. And what do I do? Well, I give my best because I believe God has given me his best. Do you want to follow me? You want to learn more? Tell me which one's more compelling story. Right? The one with a stronger why. The one with a stronger why. In fact, Peter encourages his believers in his letters. He says, you need to have a reason. You might not be able to defend everything that somebody may have against Christianity or Jesus, but the one thing that you have to be able to defend is why you believe. Why you believe. Listen, guys, people can't see God. I'm going to end with this. People can't see God. They can't see Jesus, and they can't see the Holy Spirit. But people can see people who love God. People can see people who follow Jesus. People can see people who are empowered by the Holy Spirit. People can see you. And guess what? People are watching how you are living. And there are too many people who do not have a reason why they should get out of bed today. There's too many people that exist today that don't have a reason why they need to keep going in their marriage, or why they should even bother, or why this or why that. There are too many people. And so here's the thing, guys. See, before you can go, Jesus first tells you to come. Before you go, Jesus invites people first, come to me. Let me give you rest. Let me give you life. And after you come to Jesus, then he empowers you and says, all right, buddy. All right, ready? Now let's go. Let's go together.